is NFL Live for Week 6. Here's your host, Bob Costas.
Welcome to the NFL Live studio in New York with Will McDonough and O.J. Simpson, and we'll hear from both of these gentlemen shortly. We'll also hear from Jim Lampley and Hannah Storm, who have an investigative piece on the alleged gang rape involving the Cincinnati Bengals. It's a doubleheader day here on NBC, also a doubleheader day for Deion Sanders. The first half of that doubleheader will take place at Joe Robbie Stadium in Miami with Deion's Falcons taking on the Dolphins about a half hour from now. Then it's back to Pittsburgh for Game 5 of the National League Championship Series tonight, though we understand he has decided not to divert to St. Louis to act as a panelist in tonight's presidential debate. It's been a busy enough 13 hours for Sanders. He pinch hit late in the Braves' win last night, striking out in the 8th. Then a quick departure out of Three Rivers. We're not sure if he showered, but since he was caught looking, one would assume he didn't break much of a sweat. By the way, the Braves won the game 6-4 to take a 3-1 lead over the Pirates in the series and could wrap it up and head for the World Series tonight. A quick limo ride for Deion from the stadium to the Allegheny County Airport, a small field about 45 minutes away. The Learjet awaiting to take him from Pittsburgh to Miami, where he had 3 options on board: sleep, study the Falcon game plan for Miami, or talk to Pat O'Brien. That is not Pat behind him, but Pat was over in the corner of the screen. The plane was airborne at 1:35 a.m. for the journey to South Florida, about 1,000 miles, and then Deion will pull into the Fort Lauderdale Airport at the fine hour of 4 a.m. Here he comes. Not enough of a close-up to see if he's bleary-eyed or not. He checked into the team hotel, got a few hours of sleep, and arrived at Joe Robbie Stadium just after 11 this morning. And there is that familiar number 21 warming up just a few minutes ago. He'll be returning kicks and punts, as well as looking to blanket either Mark Duper or Mark Clayton. A short while ago, I talked to Dolphins coach Don Shula about Deion.
Great athlete, and every time he gets the ball on a punt or a kickoff return, he's just a tremendous threat.
As a coach, you've got to sympathize with Glanville's position, or in a sense, a guy like Bobby Cox in Atlanta, the baseball manager. This is a tough situation to juggle.
Well, I'm sure it is, but you know that's something that I don't have to deal with, so they really don't get a lot of sympathy.
Minimal compassion displayed here by Shula, but he told me in another part of the interview that he prepared all week as if Sanders is going to be there, and he is.
Well, you know, Sanders is a unique athlete, and his abilities afford him the opportunity of not really having to fit into Atlanta's defense. They're going to put him one-on-one on Miami's best receiver. You must assume that's Mark Clayton, and that's all he has to do. He doesn't have to worry about what the other guys are doing, but I don't think you can go to bed at 4 a.m. and cover a receiver of Mark Clayton's ability. I think he's going to have a long day.
We will find out.
Let me tell you something, Juice. This is not about him playing against Miami today. This is about money and publicity. You know, he just went into an advertising campaign with Nike. And they're the ones that I understand that are picking up the tab for this thing. Cost $8,300 alone just for the plane. Now, if he didn't play today, he wouldn't make $118,000, and that's his game check for playing in Miami today. So that's the reason he's there.
And he wouldn't generate the kind of publicity for himself and for Nike that this 2 sports in 1 day primetime baseball game on a Sunday night is going to generate for them.
You're right.
By the way, not unprecedented for someone to go to bed at 4 a.m. or later for other reasons and still perform fairly well in the game later that same day. As we said, it's a doubleheader day here on NBC, and the early game that most of you will see is Seattle at Dallas. The Cowboys are looking to bounce back after the Monday night crashing in Philadelphia. For more on the Cowboys, let's bring in Bill Parcells from Texas Stadium. Bill.
Hi, Bob. You know, when I was coaching, Bob, one of the most difficult I had to do was a short week of practice after an emotional loss like Dallas had in Philadelphia Monday night. And that's Jimmy Johnson's problem here today, compounded by the fact that they had 2 weeks to get ready for that Philadelphia game. I think the emotional drain on the players and the coaches still lingers a little bit here. Talking to Troy Aikman yesterday, he said that practice hadn't been as sharp for Seattle as it had been leading up to the Philadelphia situation. Now, on Seattle's side, Kelly Stoffer out. Starting quarterback, replaced by Dan McGuire, his second career start at 6'8", the tallest quarterback in the NFL. Can you relate to that, Bob?
Not exactly, but as a baseball guy, I might point out that his brother Mark will be playing later today for Oakland against the Blue Jays in Game 4 of that series. Our other early game today is in Cleveland. The Browns hosting the Steelers. Pittsburgh is 3-1 and tied for the AFC Central lead with Houston. For more, let's go out to Cleveland, and Ahmad Rashad comes aboard. Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Bob. Today marks the return of Steeler head coach Bill Cowher. As you know, that Cowher played here for the Browns as a linebacker, and also started his coaching career here in Cleveland. He also said his first son was born here, so he said he has a lot of fond memories of being here in Cleveland. One of the fondest memories is of that of the dog pound. He said when you talk about home field advantage, there is no better home field advantage than they have here in Cleveland with the dog pound. He paid them the ultimate respect in practice last week as he piped in crowd noise for 2 days of practice to get his team ready for the noise that he'll face here today. Now, one of the things about practice also, Eric Green, the Pro Bowl tight end, also returned to practice. He is available today. Unlike the Deion Sanders, who shuttled in private plane from game to game, the Steelers came down in an old-fashioned bus. They're ready to play.
That befits the traditional atmosphere of a game on natural grass in Cleveland between the old rivals, the Steelers and the Browns. Another game in the AFC Central today has the Oilers, winners of 3 straight, visiting the Bengals, losers of their last 2. That's a 4 o'clock start at Riverfront. Houston has improved itself with the recent signing of former Browns wide receiver Webster Slaughter. Yesterday, our Todd Christensen asked Slaughter if he was the missing piece in the Oilers' puzzle.
Well, I don't know if I'm the missing piece. I do believe I can come in and help the offense. Given I understand it's been getting double teamed all the time, and I think with myself in there, that'll take away a little bit of that and open the offense up a little bit.
How much of a difference did it make to have the week off to get to work into the offense for you?
Oh, it makes a world of difference. If we would have had to play Sunday last week, you may not have seen me, but I'm sure you'll probably see me for at least a few plays this week because I had those extra days to work it in.
And up next, we're joined by Jim Lampley and Hannah Storm as we examine the civil suit filed against 20 members of the Cincinnati Bengals.
NFL Live is brought to you by Charles Schwab & Company, offering you the Schwab No-Fee IRA. By Coast Deodorant Soap, that crisp, invigorating scent makes Coast the eye-opener. And by Sharp Electronics Corporation. From sharp minds come sharp products.
Some full commission brokers are finding more and more ways to charge more and more fees, even annual.
Well, I've been told on the best of authority within the last 2 weeks, the DeBatlo Corporation, which owns the 49ers, it's in their family, has restructured with their banks in the last 2 weeks, $2 billion with a B, Bob, dollars worth of debt, and now the 49ers will not be for sale. Definitely not be for sale in the future. Stay in the family. And it's a big story in the NFL because, let's face it, in the last dozen years, they have been the #1 franchise in the league.
All right, so the 49ers are not on the market, but what players are on the trade market right now?
There's a few out there, Bob. Tuesday, 4 o'clock Eastern Time is the end of the trading deadline in the National Football League. And this week, surprisingly, you heard the name of Al Toon of the Jets out there. It has something to do with making a deal for Greg Townsend, the defensive end of the Raiders. Personally, I don't think it's going to go through by Tuesday, but it could. And you also hear that Alexander Wright of the Dallas Cowboys, a very fast wide receiver, but now he's like an extra receiver for them. They're talking to the Raiders. That might come down before Tuesday, Alexander Wright going to the Raiders. And another trade that I think is a possibility, Dexter Carter of the 49ers going to the Houston Oilers, possibly for a #1 draft choice.
All right, we're back with a check on some late news from around the league right after these messages. Will start against the Eagles despite a bruised right thigh. Alexander Wright, the wide receiver for the Cowboys, who Will mentioned earlier, is inactive today with a sprained left knee. And at Foxborough, the winless Patriots, with more bad news, an injured hip, has forced running back Leonard Russell to be inactive against the 49ers. Now, one game, Juice, we haven't mentioned, a late game, Buffalo and the Raiders. How do you think the Bills will bounce back after losing big at home to the Dolphins last week?
I don't think they're going to have any problem bouncing back. I think they were already putting that game behind them even before it was over. If you recall last year, they were running along with 4 or 5 wins, and they lost big to Kansas City. I don't think the Raiders have the offense to keep the Bills off the field.
And they won 5 in a row after that humiliation on Monday night against KC. For Will McDonough, O.J. Simpson, we'll see you at halftime with scores and highlights. So long.
Presenting the classic team.
A beautiful 71-degree day at Texas Stadium, Irving, Texas, and that's the setting for the Seattle Seahawks and the Dallas Cowboys. Head coach Jimmy Johnson hoping to regroup his Cowboys following the Monday night defeat to the Philadelphia Eagles. The 3-1 Cowboys have been pointing with much anticipation to the meeting with the Eagles, and they were turned away in convincing fashion. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, along with Bill Parcells. Bill, you have been through this on many an occasion.
high expectations in the direction of one game. Now, how do the Cowboys respond to that loss?
Well, this is a test for the Cowboys' maturity, Marv. They're obsessed with catching the Philadelphia Eagles. They play the Eagles 1 month from now. The challenge for the Cowboys is to not lose any ground between now and then so that game retains as much importance as the Monday night game a week ago.
Now, Seattle comes in at 1-4, hard hit by injury. They have 11 players on injured reserve, including their starting quarterback, Kelly Stauffer. That leads to a second NFL start for their second-year man, Dan McGuire.
Well, I've been in that situation before, but it's compounded by the fact that McGuire has none of his starting receivers available to him. Now, I think if McGuire has a problem, it will be with the defensive recognition. Dallas, I'm sure, is going to mix the coverages up. I think they're going to blitz him some, and I think if he has a problem, he'll struggle in that area.
Seattle has won the toss, and they will receive. And it's Chris Warren with the return. A penalty marker has been thrown. It's a 32-yard return by Warren. Chris Warren, a man who does it all, returns kicks, punts, and in his third year out of Durham is averaging 4.5 yards per carry. Apparently an inadvertent flag was thrown, so it is called off. A look at the offensive line of the Seahawks. The problem area has been at the left tackle position, played by the rookie Ray Roberts. McGuire, the quarterback, Warren, and Williams are the running backs. So the Seahawks start out from their 33-yard line. This is Warren, and he's bottled up. Russell Maryland and Tony Casillas leading the charge. A look at that Dallas defensive unit. Up front, Tolbert, Casillas, Maryland, and Haley. The linebacker Smith, Jones, and Norton. And in the secondary, Holt and Brown at the corners. One change here, Kenneth Gant starting at the strong safety position. James Washington moves over to free safety. Ray Horton will come on as the nickelback out of the starting lineup today. It's a second down and 9. And once again to the ground, but Warren is tripped up behind the line by the middle linebacker, Robert Jones.
I think Seattle's strategy early in the game here would be to try to keep the third downs down a little bit less than 3rd and 8, 2 runs on first down there. Try to get McGuire in situations 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4 so that he can convert them a little more easily.
Seahawks now looking at a 3rd down and 8. With the snap, and the Cowboys have recovered. Vincent Smith, number 57, in his 4th year out of East Carolina on the recovery.
Sometimes when you're looking downfield at the coverage, you don't get the snap quite in the right spot. I'm sure McGuire's attention's in another area, and you can never ignore that center snap because that's what puts the ball in play. And first things first, always.
Well, the Cowboys take over Seattle with its 11th fumble of this young season. Dallas first down from the 34-yard line. Emmitt Smith trying the right side. Emmitt Smith held in check Monday night by the Philadelphia Eagles, held to 67 yards, 19 carries. That's an offensive line that has allowed only 6 sacks in 4 games. However, 4 of the 6 surrendered to the Eagles on Monday. Troy Aikman, the quarterback. The running backs, Emmitt Smith, Darrell Johnston, and the receiving corps led by Michael Irvin, along with Alvin Harper and Jay Novacek. When they go to the 3 wideouts, the man they call Kmart, Kelvin Martin, checks in. 8-yard advance by Smith, second down and 2. Big hole for Emmitt Smith. A free safety, Eugene Robinson, able to get him down as Smith reels off 16.
Dallas opens with 2 tight ends, and just a little draw play that Smith's run so effectively since the beginning of his career, right to the secondary. Eugene Robinson with a block tackle keeps Smith from going in for that touchdown.
And coming into today, Emmitt Smith leads the NFC in rushing yards. Last year led the NFL in rushing. He's carried twice for 24. Smith again. Bringing down to the 1. Free safety Eugene Robinson kept him out of the end zone.
Well, Seattle tried to get 8 men up on the line of scrimmage. You see Robert Blackman, the strong safety, blitzing there. But Dallas has a good blocking scheme and gets a hat on everybody. And it's that same little sprint draw there to Smith. Takes it down to the 1.
It is a 2nd and goal at the 1. We're just underway at Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas.
May have made the first down here.
You can kneel down.
So they check it out with the yardsticks. Inches away. The Dallas Cowboys with victories over the Redskins, the Giants, and the Cardinals. This past Monday lost to the Eagles 31-7.
Number 66, ineligible receiver. Number 66.
And that is Kevin Gogan, usually a backup offensive lineman who is out as the eligible receiver. 2nd down play. Here's Smith. He is stopped. And then with a 2nd effort, he was able to get in. Emmitt Smith goes in for the touchdown.
Smith just wouldn't give up. He was stopped twice, and he extended the ball over the goal line, and the whistle had not blown. They hit him, and they stopped him pretty much cold there. But he gets back on his feet and extends his arms over the goal line, puts the ball over, and that's what counts, where the ball is.
Well, that is awfully impressive. It shows the balance and strength of Emmitt Smith.
Well, you got to tip him over on his back when you get him in that situation, and Seattle wasn't able to do that.
The Dallas Cowboys taking advantage of the Seattle Seahawks fumbled snap, and they go 4 plays, 34 yards within 2 minutes and 9 seconds. Here's the rookie kicker, Lynn Elliott. So the Cowboys with a 7-0 lead on Seattle. Would you say the worst possible start for Dan McGuire?
Without question. You know, I think Tom Flores wants to start the game conservatively, keep the 3rd downs down. He left his regular offense in the game on 3rd down. I think an attempt to cut back from McGuire, but then they get the turnover. Now McGuire's playing from behind already. Hostile environment, loud noise. You know, you'd rather not have it that way, but nothing you can do about it now.
Lynn Elliott out of Texas Tech with the kickoff to the combination of Chris Warren and Ruben Naves. Here comes Warren. He slipped, fell down as he crossed the 15, covered up by Tony Hill. So the Seattle Seahawks back to the offense. Seattle last Sunday lost at San Diego 17-6. They have lost also to Cincinnati, Kansas City, and Miami. The one win was up in Foxborough. They defeated New England by the score of 10-6 to make matters worse for this injury-riddled Seattle club. This has been a long spell on the road. This is the 4 road games in 5 weeks.
Now we got a little formation problem. McGuire trying to direct them, and it looks like he had to call a timeout here. The pressure seems to be getting to Seattle just a little bit here early in the game.
As we said, the worst possible start for Dan McGuire, the 6'8" quarterback out of San Diego State. We'll be right back.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Chevy Trucks, the trucks you can depend on, the trucks that last. By the Diamond Anniversary Band. This year, tell her you'd marry her all over again. By Little Caesars Pizza, where you always get 2 great pizzas for 1 low price. And by your Allstate agent, who wants to be your agent for life. You're in good hands with Allstate.
McGuire back over the center as we resume following that timeout taken by McGuire. This is Warren. John L. Williams reaching out to the 20-yard line, stopped by Vincent Smith. Hard to figure how Dan McGuire would have difficulty either with the formation or the play itself and being forced to call a first down on the very first play of that series.
Yeah, it is hard. You should take the play with you to the huddle, and there should be no problem, but he may have called it wrong in the huddle and then realized it and tried to redirect it, but they had to use a timeout, which isn't good this early.
Down and 6 at the 20. Dallas with a 7-0 lead on Seattle. And Warren has a first down. He goes for 7. Combination of Ken Norton and James Washington make the stop. The Seahawks are averaging under 9 points per game. They may be on their way to becoming the worst offensive unit in Seattle Seahawks franchise history. They are 27th in the league, next to last. Only New England is worse in that department. In 5 games, the Seahawks have scored only 4 touchdowns, only 1 in the second half.
Well, I'm sure Tom Flores wants to get McGuire an easy completion here somewhere. There it is.
And he's able to complete with John L. Williams. Robert Jones on the stop. Only a 4-yard pickup. John L. Williams has made the Pro Bowl the last 2 years as an alternate. He had 7 receptions last Sunday against San Diego. 20 catches in all for the season.
He's my idea of a real solid fullback, Marv. He can run, block, and catch. And, there are a lot of fullbacks in the league that can't do all those things, but he can do them all. And that's why he's been such a force in front of Kurt Warner and now Chris Warren for the Seahawks for all these years.
Second down and 6. Williams bottled up. Led by Tony Tolbert, the Dallas Cowboys able to surround John L. Williams.
Well, it'll be interesting to see now whether Tom Flores puts the nickel offense in the game. He didn't on the first third down, and it doesn't look like he's going to do it on this third down. And as a result, Dallas is just playing their regular defense, and Seattle's playing their regular offense. And that's one way to simplify things for Dan McGuire.
Tom Flores telling us yesterday after practice that his wife, Barbara, called him a masochist when he told her he had decided to return to the coaching ranks. McGuire looked deep, could not find anyone, and now throws it away.
He didn't force it into a bad spot, though, and I'm sure that Tom Flores is not too unhappy. He would like to have the completion, but he didn't compound the problem. He didn't have anybody open. Dallas good coverage, and now we bring up a punting situation.
Flores, incidentally, is still team president, but no longer goes by the general manager title. Joined the Seahawks as president and GM back in February of '89, and has decided to move back into the head coaching sideline. Here's Rick Tooney. Good punt, and the fair catch handled by Kelvin Martin. 8:13 remaining in this first quarter. A 52-yarder by Tootin. Well, coming up next on most of these NBC stations, Game 2 of our NFL doubleheader, and most of you will see the Buffalo Bills take on the Los Angeles Raiders. Bill, there's a joke going around Los Angeles that speaks to the Raiders' rushing problems. It goes like this: the Raiders are considering signing Ross Perot as a fullback to help block for Eric Dickerson. That way there would be 2 backs in the backfield who don't know if they want to run.
Marv, come on. It's football season.
Yesterday you laughed hysterically when I told you that. Emmett Smith is stopped back behind the line by Rufus Porter. It's been a good start, though, for Emmett Smith. He's facing a Seahawk defense that looks like this. Jeff Bryant, Joe Nash, Cortez Kennedy, Tony Woods up front. Linebacking core, Terry Wooden, David Wyman, and Rufus Porter. And in the secondary, Blaine Harper, Patrick Hunter, Robert Blackman, and Eugene Robinson. When they go to the nickel, they bring on 3 players, Davis, Dodge, and Blasco. great for Jimmy Johnson at Miami in his third year in the NFL, able to get to Aikman.
Well, Cortez told us yesterday that all these Miami guys in this game, one of his best friends, Russell Maryland, Michael Irvin, all his teammates over on the other side, and of course he has Brian Blades on the Seahawks that's hurt, but all these Miami guys are going to try to outdo each other today, and Cortez is one up right now. Cortez making it to the Pro Bowl last season as an alternate. He is so quick. Last year, as you saw, led Seattle defensive lineman with 6.5 sacks. It's a third and 14. Aikman going for the draw, and Emmitt Smith not able to get anyone. So a good defensive series by the Seahawks. Also, too, Dallas leaving Emmitt Smith in on third down is a little departure from what they'd done the first couple of years. He normally would play just at first and second down, but now they're working him into the third down offense, and he told us yesterday, too, that he's the guy that doesn't want to come out of the game. You know, a lot of players say it, but when he said it, I believed him. I think he wants in there all the time. Mike Saxon will punt from his end zone to Chris Warren. 6:20 remaining, first quarter. Dallas with a 7-0 lead. Line drive punt. Warren approaching the 45, but hit down. Kenneth Gant with the stop, a 47-yard punt, and good coverage by the Cowboys, but a penalty marker has been thrown. Well, in my judgment, you don't want to run east and west from that field position. You want to just take it up and get good field position. And the call is against Seattle. Now, instead of being across midfield and having a chance, they combine that with a penalty, and now they're back in the hole that they were in to start the game. So that's a big...
Illegal block in the back, 94 on the return team, on the run back, 10-yard penalty, first down.
And a Dallas player shaken up. Dale Hellestray being checked out. Timeout called. 6:10 to go, first quarter. Seattle head coach Tom Flores, one of only 2 people in the history of the NFL. Mike Ditka, Jim Harbaugh's good friend, Bill, is the other to win a Super Bowl as a player, assistant coach, and head coach. Coached 2 Super Bowl championship teams with the Raiders. He's had quite a record, and you know, Tom's a guy that's always a very low-key guy, doesn't really like much publicity, but he's got a pretty good coaching record, 84 and 57. His 31st year overall in the NFL. Seahawks first down from their 30-yard line. McGuire able to swing it. John L. Williams with a short advance. Combination of the middle linebacker Robert Jones and the left defensive end Tony Tolbert on the stop. Well, first down becomes very important for Dan McGuire, and I think the Seahawks coaches are trying to get something going that can pick up 5 or 6 yards, like that little swing there to John L. Williams or the run to Chris Warren, just to get McGuire settled down, keep those third down conversions down to a minimum. Now Dallas is giving them kind of an 8-man front here. This could force an audible on the part of McGuire. David Daniels now flanks out wide to the left side. McGuire continues to go short. What a hit by Isaac Holt. It's an 8-yard pickup. A rock thrown at Rob Thomas. A tremendous shot by Holt. But it's good recognition on the part of McGuire, because this is definitely an audible. Thomas down, just hooks up in front of Holt. Nice quick delivery. It's an example of McGuire not letting Dallas dictate bad plays to the Seahawk offense. It's a good audible. He said he was prepared for the blitz yesterday. He said he's hoping they do blitz. And a first down for Seattle from their 42. Cowboys 7. And the Seahawks nothing. Just under 5 minutes left in this first quarter. Off the fake. Dallas did not go for it. Then McGuire with a dangerous pass, and it's caught for the first down. He floated one out there, and it was caught by Daniels, covered by James Washington. I'm
sure Tom Flores kind of holding his breath here. McGuire's trying to set up the go pattern, pumps it, looking for the go, but it's well covered. Now he just kind of heaves it, and when the ball's in the air that long, that should result in an interception 100% of the time. But the Dallas guys just could not get there to make the play.
David Daniels, second-year man out of Penn State, used primarily on special teams, but the Seahawks have been hard hit by injuries in the receiving corps. Back to the ground. Here's Warren, and he's stopped. Robert Jones, the middle linebacker, who on Monday night against the Eagles had 10 solo tackles in on that stuff. 16 tackles in all, and he leads the team in that department.
Well, he's entrenched himself as a rookie at the middle linebacker spot, and I can tell you, being a defensive coach all my life, it's pretty tough to come in the NFL as a rookie and run the whole defense. So you got to take your hat off to Robert Clark, number 55. He's doing a good job for Dallas.
It is a second down and 10. McGuire lofts it, but this one out of sight. Intended for Rob Thomas, covered by the right corner, Larry Brown, and a flag has been thrown. The referee is Bernie Kukar. The Cowboys.
Illegal use of hands, number 37 on the defense, grabbing the face mask, 5-yard penalty, first down.
All right, automatic first down. Strong safety James Washington called for the face mask. 3:06 left in this opening quarter. In Dallas, the Cowboys 7, Seahawks nothing. Dan McGuire, the starting quarterback for Seattle. Last week, his starter Kelly Stoffer, who suffered a separated shoulder. McGuire played most of the game, completed 12 of 21 for only 70 yards, intercepted 3 times. Tom McGuire got the time, and it was broken up by Holt. Pass intended for James Jones.
Well, Isaac Holt, of course, came in that Herschel Walker trade, and he's a guy that's been pressured a little bit by the rookie Kevin Smith, the first-round draft choice of the Cowboys, but that's kind of motivated Holt, and he's having, according to Jimmy Johnson, his best year for the Cowboys.
Well, you look at the comparative stats between these two teams. Both clubs completing 73 passes, but that doesn't tell the story because Dallas goes further down the field. Most of the completions by Seattle have been short, medium range. Chris Warren is stopped for a loss. Ken Norton, there he is, number 51, able to get the wraps on Warren. Ken Norton, the son of one-time heavyweight champion Ken Norton Sr. His dad, incidentally, played some football at Northeast Missouri State. Ken Norton said last week called for that personal foul Monday night, hitting Randall Cunningham out of bounds, a disputed call.
Well, he's a guy that took a little while to develop when he first came in the league. He didn't play too much, but now he's pretty well entrenched along with Jones and Vincent Smith. And the Cowboys have a good set of young linebackers.
It's a third down and 12. Wire able to get the good look and completes with Thomas. Washington and Gant run about a 14-yard pickup. So this has been a good series for the second-year quarterback, Dan McGuire.
Well, he looks like he's a little more relaxed. He looks one side, the other picks up the receiver coming across. And Thomas makes a nice catch and then turns it up just in time to get the first down. One thing Dallas seems to be doing, whenever Seattle gets in the I formation, they're kind of pressure in the running game with some blitz. But when Seattle lines up in this formation like split backs, Dallas is a little more conservative.
First down at the 26 clock in motion. John L. Williams stopped by Vincent Smith. We talked with Dan McGuire yesterday. Dan at 6'8" is the tallest quarterback who ever played professional football. He was a basketball player as a freshman in high school. Said he was 6'3", about 165 pounds. A pitcher in baseball. Mentioned that he threw hard, but he was wild. As a lark, a friend suggested that he go out for the football team in high school as a quarterback. All fit into place, did well. High school team winning 2 championships. Just under 1 minute remaining in this first quarter. Play fake by McGuire. In trouble and brought down by Tony Tolbert, who goes 6'6". It's like an NBA matchup, Bill. The 6'6" Tolbert against the 6'8" McGuire.
One thing you don't want to do in the red zone is take a sack. Now, they have a play-action pass. McGuire's trying to pick up the crossing receiver. He can't find him. And then Tolbert's, of course, right on him. Well, there's Casillas. I think he's 6'2". McGuire's 6'8". Look right over Maryland. Over Casillas. He should have a clear vision downfield. I don't think Casillas is 6'3".
Oh, you're correcting program heights now. I don't think McGuire is 6'8". And you can see the flags flying. Look like Ray Roberts, the left tackle, who jumped. I think McGuire's maybe.
Number 73 on the offense prior to
was Roberts.
5-yard penalty.
Give him 6'7". Which is pretty tall.
Well, the only reason I say Casillas is 6'2" is because I remember scouting him at the combines, and I was there when they measured. And when they called out the measurement, I guarantee you it wasn't 6'3".
Now, do you measure yourself? You're about, what, 5'9", Bill? Do you measure yourself up against these guys?
No, I'm taller than Casillas.
You're what? You're 6'3"?
6'3".
Scrapping, though. A scrapping 6'3". It's a third down and 20 as this first quarter has come to a close with the score: the Dallas Cowboys 7, Seattle Seahawks nothing. A look at the first quarter statistics. The Dallas Cowboys, in terms of time of possession, only 4 minutes and 12 seconds. Seattle had the ball most of that quarter, although they're down 7-0.
Well, just that one mistake on the fumble puts Dallas in good field position. But Seattle's got it going just the way they want. Now, I wouldn't want to have this third down and 20, but up to this point, they've done a pretty good job.
This is the 10th play of the drive. McGuire hauled down. Second time he's been sacked. Jim Jeffcoat coming up with his first sack of the season. 10-year man from Arizona State, who you are very familiar with.
Unfortunately, that name Jim Jeffcoat. Now, he was a starter at the right defensive end for a number of years when Tom Landry was here, and now he's relegated more to a role as a pass rusher, but he's probably going to prolong his career by adapting to that role. And he's always been able to get some pressure on that quarterback.
Second punt coming up for Rick Tootin, who had 50-plus on his first attempt. And Martin lets it bounce, and it took a tricky hop. Let's see where it landed. Did it carry to the end zone? Yes, it did. So they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. It's a 43-yard punt for Tootin.
That's a situation where I believe I'd have to talk to Tootin a little bit. Punting from that field position, you don't want the ball to go in the end zone. You'd like to, be able to have a shot at downing it, so try to kick for the corner a little bit more.
Cowboys with a 7-0 lead. Good running by Emmitt Smith on that opening series following the recovered fumbled snap, and Smith took it in from 2 yards away for the touchdown. And Johnston are the running backs. Here's Aikman with the time. Troy Aikman with some very nifty running. He goes for 20 yards.
Well, one of the things about Aikman that you do have to be concerned with is his scrambling ability. Now, he's a guy that when I was coaching, we would put a spy on him from time to time. And again, with the play-action pass, you only have 1 or 2 receivers you're looking at. And as soon as they're covered, he's down with the ball and scrambling, and good help downfield from number 84, Jay Novacek.
Troy Aikman in his 4th season out of UCLA. last year established a new club record for completion percentage at 65. Did not have a good one against the Eagles, one that very few quarterbacks do against that Eagle defensive unit. Emmitt Smith trying the left side, met by the outside linebacker Rufus Porter.
The other thing about Aikman, we were talking to Tom Catlin, the Seattle defensive coordinator, and he feels that Aikman's at the stage in his career now where you're not going to fool him anymore. When he's young, you try to mix the coverages and blitz him and do those things, but now you just got to hope he has a bad day or makes some bad throws, because he's going to recognize almost everything you put up there and try to execute against it.
Aikman well ahead of schedule, 7 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Looking to throw his first pass of the day, and he completes. Michael Irvin. Michael Irvin with the reception. Covered by Robert Blackman, and that picks up 23.
Michael Irvin, an outstanding receiver on a little turn-in pattern there, beating Patrick Hunter back to the outside. Eugene Robinson and Hunter go back and make the tackle on him. But when you have Irvin and Smith and Harper and Novacek and Aikman, you got enough firepower to be productive on offense no matter what they do on defense.
Although when we chatted with Troy after practice yesterday, he said that the Dallas Cowboy offensive unit is still missing one ingredient, a Dave Meggett type back for third down situations. That was intended for Alvin Harper, covered by Dwayne Harper.
Well, you know, it's like a candy store, though. You know, there are always things that you want and you need, and you can't have it all. Right now, I think the skilled people on the Dallas offense are comparable to anyone, certainly in the NFC East and probably in the NFC. They've got enough firepower to compete offensively every week. Of course, you see they got all these high draft choices there on offense, and, you know, they should be good players.
Well, this is a club that certainly turned around. Jimmy Johnson revitalizing the franchise. They opened up at 1-15 in his first season. It's a draw for Smith, who's able to take it to the outside, getting inside the 25-yard line. The free safety, number 41, Eugene Robinson, with the tackle.
But you see, Emmitt Smith is the kind of back, and there are very few backs where he runs into the line, there's no hole, and he can just jump sideways and create his own daylight, get to the corner. Now, that play is designed to go inside. There's no hole there, it's stuffed in it, he just jumps laterally. There are very few backs in the league with that kind of running ability.
Marv Albert with Bill Parcells from Dallas, Texas. 3.5 gone by, second quarter. The Cowboys 7 and the Seahawks nothing. Dallas with a third down and 2. Hard driving run by Smith for another Dallas first down. Middle linebacker David Wyman made the stop.
Well, Dave Wyman has a primary responsibility of defensing Emmitt Smith, and we talked to him yesterday, and he was telling us that Smith is hard to tackle because of his low center of gravity. You don't get a good shot at him. Now, Wyman's got some additional duties, too, because in the passing game, he's going to be doubling a little bit on Jay Novacek, so he's got a full day's work ahead of him.
Wyman, who was not a happy player last year, claiming the Seahawks kept him on injured reserve long after he had recovered from a damaged knee. Able to make the return after the knee surgery. Aikman's pass almost picked off. Patrick Hunter had a shot at it, a pass that was intended for Michael Irvin.
Sometimes you don't see that strong safety. Now, they think they're throwing 1-and-1 on the corner there. Patrick Hunter is playing in the strong safety position versus Dallas slot formation, and he sneaks right underneath that little hook pattern run by Irvin and almost comes up with the interception. And had he intercepted that one, Marv, I think he'd still be going.
Yes. Second down and 10. Dallas Cowboys record of 3-1. Tough schedule though coming up for the Cowboys. Aikman's pass caught. A spectacular catch by Michael Irvin. Harper and Robinson with the hit, and Irvin is shaken up. A 20-yard pass play.
Well, you see Michael Irvin, who's 6'3" against Dwayne Harper, a little shorter, gets the break to the post, and Harper just is not big enough to drive through Irvin and break up the play. It's a physical mismatch down there in the red zone. Irvin's too tall, his arms are too long, and Harper just can't make that play.
Sets up a 1st and goal for Dallas.
Michael Irvin's the split end, and they usually call a split end in pro football X. Harper's trying to take away his inside. The term we used to use in football for take away X inside, taxi. You know, like yelling for a taxi, Marv?
It's very clever, Bill.
Take away X inside. Got to take him away a little better than he did on that last play.
Michael Irvin, incidentally, is okay after taking that hit, and it's Emmitt Smith being stopped by number 27, Patrick Hunter. There's Irvin, man who leads the NFC in receiving yards coming into today, 477. Leads the NFL in yards per catch, averaging just under 23 per reception. He's caught 2 today for 44 yards.
Michael Irvin, though, he's a guy that has the ability to make the big play. The one thing he does that a lot of receivers don't do, Marv, he scores a lot of touchdowns.
It is a 2nd and goal. And again to Smith for the touchdown. With his 2nd touchdown of the day, he has 5 for the season.
But more than that, Jimmy Johnson's got to be very happy with the way the Dallas Cowboy team has responded. You know, he was very concerned about how hard to practice him, how hard to work him with a short week, coming off that emotional loss to Philadelphia. They come back and they've responded very, very well here in the first part of the ball game. They have a 14-0 lead, and it looks like they're right back on track.
Is now a 14-0 advantage for Dallas.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Acura Automobiles. Experience precision-crafted performance. By McDonald's, home of the new McDonald's guarantee. By Smith Barney. They make money the old-fashioned way. They earn it. And by Castrol Syntec, the new synthetic oil that protects in ways other oils can't.
Cowboys going 10 plays, 80 yards in 4 minutes and 55 seconds, capped off by the short run by Emmitt Smith for the touchdown, and Dallas now leads by the score of 14-0. Chris Warren with this kickoff return. And once again, strong coverage by the Cowboys. Thomas Everett, Kevin Smith combining on the tackle of Warren, and a penalty marker is thrown.
Might be Dallas offside. It might have left a little bit early. That'll be a big break for the Seahawks if they did.
Six minutes gone by in the 2nd quarter here at Texas Stadium.
Offside, number 90 on the kicking team. 5-yard penalty, re-kick.
And that is Tony Hill called for the offside. Jimmy Johnson, head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, last year guided Dallas to its first playoff appearance since 1985. Look at that turnaround. Best record since '83. Cowboys going 11-5. So he's taken a 1-15 team and turned it around following a successful collegiate coaching career at Miami and Oklahoma State.
Well, I think he had a little trouble his first year, and there was a lot to do here in Dallas. He brought his philosophy in. He's had the flexibility to alter it just a little bit, and the results have been very dramatic. And, you know, he's on the verge now of having this team in position to compete.
Crowd reacts as Glenn Elliott is able to put it through the end zone. Bill Bates, noted noted for his special teams play, backup defensive back. A keen observer of the NFLC in the past 10 years was telling us yesterday that he feels the Cowboy coaches, in particular the head man Jimmy Johnson, should receive much credit for changing, as you mentioned, changing the philosophy. He said that that first year of the season they went 1-15, and following a tough act from Tom Landry, it was just bedlam. Players coming and going, mass chaos, but they saw certain things did not work, and they had enough confidence in themselves and enough maturity about it to change their thoughts, which led to more stability. Of course, they got some pretty good players along the way. Penalty marker is thrown as Williams coughed it up, and it looked like Ken Norton may have recovered. Yes, the Cowboys have recovered, and no flag has been thrown. No flags. The Cowboys capitalizing on another mistake by the Seahawks.
Well, just a little fullback handoff, and John L's hit and sandwich between Haley and I really can't see the other defender. Looks like Tony Casillas. And the ball comes out. Now Dallas is in position to really make it tough on the Seahawks. They get this one in here, and this game is almost out of reach with the young quarterback.
Norton with the recovery, and Dallas first and 10 outside the 20. Emmett Smith with a short pickup. Cortez Kennedy on the stop.
John L. just trying to cut back there. You see Casillas and Haley just sandwich them. And, you know, it's the running back's job to protect the ball, and he didn't do it well enough on that play. Now, as I said, big pressure on Seattle's defense here to come up with something to keep this from going to 21.
Second down and 9. Dallas at the Seattle 20-yard line. Michael Irvin apparently all right after taking that hard hit when he came up with that terrific catch, and he split to the left. Now Irvin in motion. He's been able to complete to Kelvin Martin. Kept away from the first down marker. The ball was not free, but the play may have been whistled dead. Dwayne Harper with the stop. Let's see where they spot it. Looked to be about a 9-yard advance.
Kelvin Martin coming across from the weak side. Irvin acting kind of as a crosser from the strong side. They're trying to confuse the man coverage of Seattle, and Martin gets loose over on the strong side of the formation.
Creating a second and about a half yard. Kelvin Martin goes 5'9", 165 pounds out of Boston College.
He's a playmaker, that Kelvin Martin. He's big in their return game. He's their third down wide receiver, and he's a veteran player. He's the kind of guy that can change a game around. Matter of fact, there was a day, Marv, when I tried to make a trade for that young man right there, but Jimmy Johnson said no.
Who are you offering?
Well, I don't recall who we offered, honestly. I think a draft pick.
Emmett Smith stopped back behind the line. It actually sounds like an honest response. I was trying to catch you off guard because you never will tell me about the trades that did not take place.
Well,
I believe you. It sounds credible.
Well, Tom Flores is pretty happy about that defensive series right there, because they were able to hold Dallas to a field goal attempt, taking over on the 20-yard line like that. And so Seattle's defense did the job. And, of course, that's been the strength of their team so far this year.
The rookie from Texas Tech, Lynn Elliott, as you see, only 3 of 6. Last week he missed his one attempt from 48. This is a 31-yard field goal attempt. Steve Berline will put it down. And he hits it. Lynn Elliott from 31. So the Cowboys extend to a 17-0 lead. 6:48 to go. First half.
Although he made that 31-yard field goal, Jimmy Johnson does have a little concern about his rookie kicker, Lynn Elliott. And as any coach would. You know, he knows that kicker's going to have to make a big kick for him later in the season, and when you have a rookie kicker, he hasn't made any of those kicks, you're not sure whether he's going to do it under pressure or not.
It's at that point where he does not trust what he has until he sees a big kick.
Well, I think, confidence is only born of demonstrated ability until you see that big one. You know, you can't be too confident.
Seattle, as you can see, has had its difficulties. They had that one good drive where they started on their own 30-yard line, and it was a long series lasting 10 plays, but they're not able to capitalize. It's a first down for the second-year quarterback, Dan McGuire, and that is incomplete. Larry Brown on the coverage of Rob Thomas. 6.5 remaining in this first half. The Cowboys 17, the Seahawks nothing. Marv Albert with Bill Parcells. The Eagles trailing the Chiefs 7-3 in the second quarter.
That'd be an upset.
Yes, sir.
Seattle desperately needs to get a drive going to put some points on the board before the half. You know, you don't want to go in 17-0 or 24-0. They really need to get a drive going here.
It's a 2nd and 10. Chris Warren spinning his way across the 25-yard line, followed up by Robert Jones. Warren going for 7 yards.
Ray Roberts, the rookie left tackle of the Cowboys, is a guy that struggled as any left tackle would, who's forced in there. And in his first year, I think other than quarterback, probably playing left tackle as a rookie in the National Football League is the most difficult position to come in and adapt to.
Why is that?
I just think you're getting all the speed pass rushers there. You're getting tested on all sides. You've got some of the most athletic players in the league that you play against every week. And, you have to deal with it, and very few can.
McGuire could not find anyone, and then he is hit hard by Robert Jones. That's also the blind side normally for the quarterback.
Yeah, you have to protect your quarterback, and Roberts is a guy that has very, very good athletic ability. Now you see him trying to cut Jeffcoat there, and that's something that you usually don't like to see. But sometimes young players do that out of desperation. Usually you want them to stay on their feet and stay between the quarterback and the defender.
And the third punt coming up for Tootin. By Kelvin Martin was looking right into the bright sunlight. A 50-yarder by Tootin. We'll be back in a moment.
Texas Stadium is one of the toughest stadiums to pick up the ball. You see the punter punting it out of those colored shirts up into that dark section. Then the ball goes up into the light. We used to have to take extra work with our punt returners down here, especially as the sun gets halfway across the field a little further. It's a real problem for receivers and punt returners finding the ball in this stadium.
Kelvin Martin, who was accustomed to fighting off the sun, did just that as he made that fair catch a moment ago. Here's Aikman going back to work and has a first down with Michael Irvin. 12-yard advance. Patrick Hunter on the stop.
As a matter of fact, going back to that trouble when Dave Meggett was a rookie punt returner, and I sent him down here to Texas Stadium, sent him out a little early to warm up, and I told him there were some problems here to get out and get some extra catches. And when I came out of the dressing room down at the field, he was waiting at the bottom of the tunnel and asking for a lot of assistance. So one of the main things we tried to do was get our punt returner to look into the dark section of the stadium to pick up the ball before it went into the light, and that helped them on their return game.
It is a first down for Aikman. The completion. Michael Irvin working the other side of the field against Dwayne Harper and goes for 24.
Michael Irvin, Dwayne Harper playing that taxi technique again. Irvin beat him on the post. Now he comes back and runs the deep comeback. And, Harper has got beaten inside. Now he's beaten on the outside. And Irvin's run it pretty much his own way right now. See, if you beat a guy on the post pattern, the defensive back, he says, well, that's not going to happen again, and then something else happens. Irvin fakes the post and then runs the comeback, but this guy is really a top-line receiver, Michael Irvin.
Dallas first down from their 42 with 3:35 left in the half. Penalty flag is thrown. That draw play did not work for Emmitt Smith, but the whistle had blown. Dallas Cowboys with a 17-0 lead on the 2 touchdowns by Smith and a 31-yard field goal by Lynn Elliott. Seattle, the most penalized team in the NFL, and they pick up another right here. Kukar involved in a long discussion. Eugene Robinson trying to help matters with his own interpretation.
Well, you know, penalties and turnovers, that's instant death in football. You put those two things together, lots of turnovers and lots of penalties, and what you have is a losing team. Now we have offsetting.
Penalties.
So now they should replay this down. Yeah, the backs are in motion there, and Cortez, of course, jumps. And I think they should be replaying this down, Mark. It's offsetting penalties.
Apparently that's what the discussion concerned, and Eugene Robinson talked it over with the referee Bernie Kukar, and it is now a first down. So that is the case. Emmitt Smith is stopped. Emmitt Smith last season led the NFL in rushing, 1,563 yards, the first Dallas Cowboy to do so. Also ran for 12 touchdowns, and he is attempting to become the 7th player in the history of the league to win back-to-back rushing titles. Emmitt Smith with 2 scores this afternoon has passed by the output of the entire Seattle Seahawks.
Well, he's turning into a very well-rounded back. You know, a lot of those tailbacks in college aren't good pass blockers, but Emmitt has adapted his style to the Cowboy offense and now can hold his own pass blocking also.
Second down and 6. Aikman able to step up. Goes the short route to Novacek, and that is short of the first down. He was wrapped up by David Wyman, lost his helmet. In the process, Jay Novacek signed late, began slowly, has shown signs of coming on in recent weeks.
Well, I think he's Troy Aikman's security blanket. I mean, every quarterback has to have a guy that he just feels like he can get the ball to every game. And, you know, you can do something to take away your receivers, but you can't do too much to take away the tight end. And he goes to him quite a bit in clutch situations.
Harold Carmichael's towering height was dwarfed by only one thing, his extraordinary talent, a true legend of the game.
2 minutes remaining in the first half in Dallas. The Cowboys with a 17-0 lead. Coming up, the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report. Bob Costas, O.J. Simpson, and Will McDonough bringing you up to date all the action from around the NFL. Also, Gail Gardner will take a look at what has been a tragic year in the National Football League, most notably the death of Jerome Brown. That's all coming up at halftime. Dallas looking at a 3rd down and 2 at the Seattle 33-yard line. Aikman's pass was knocked down. Tony Woods, the right defensive end, 6-year man out of the University of Pittsburgh, getting a piece of this.
Tony Woods working against the Cowboy left tackle, Mark Tunay. gets his hands up, and Aikman just throws it to him. Now, you got to blame that one on the quarterback. He's got to get in between the offensive lineman and not let the guy just jump up right in his face like that.
Field goal attempt coming up for Lynn Elliott. This is from 51 yards away. Earlier he hit from 31. He's 4 of 7 for the season. 51-yarder. It is good. Well, that might provide some confidence on the part of Jim Johnson, although this was not a pressure kick, but still, obviously you'd rather see him make it from 51.
Well, all those kicks for those rookie kickers are pressure kicks, and 51 yards out, the more of those you make, the better you feel about it. And it's, this is a perfect stadium to kick in because there's no wind. There's never any wind problems. The conditions are always the same. And when you're a field goal kicker and you kick in a dome or you kick a place like Texas Stadium, you have a big edge. It's when you get out on those grass places like Cleveland and places like that with the wind blowing that you can come up with some real trouble.
That's a career high for the rookie kicker Lynn Elliott, signed as a free agent, a native of Texas, out of Texas Tech. Won the job with kicker Ken Willis going to Tampa Bay on Plan B following last season. Willis had a terrific year. His kickoffs on the short side at times, but a very consistent placement man. Line drive kick now by Elliott. Gets into the end zone. They will bring it out to the 20-yard line with a minute and 51 remaining in the first half, and the Cowboys leading by the score of 20-0.
Well, it'll be interesting to see here if the Seahawks just kind of sit on this, even though they're down 20-0. You don't want to make it 27, give up a turnover. So I'll be interested to see, what mode they take with the young quarterback here.
Seattle Seahawks not able to get very much going. Check out average yardage when they pick up when they operate on first down, only 3.2. Dallas just under 7 yards on first down. And McGuire is brought down, and that is not a live football. Play is blown dead. Third time that Dan McGuire has been sacked.
Again, the problem that McGuire thought he might have is the recognition part of the Dallas defense. You see him, he's wanting to be sure. You want to be sure, and sometimes you just can't be sure. You got to pull the trigger, and he's a little reluctant to pull it from time to time, and it winds up in sacks. Now that ball is almost loose, but the referee's right there with the whistle, so he called him down.
Dan McGuire looking at a second down and 20. Crowd responding to the defensive unit. John L. Williams stopped by the combination of Jim Jeffcoat and Jimmy Jones.
And you'll see Dallas use timeouts here now to try to get the ball back and get themselves another position. There's McGuire being sacked, and it looks like the ball's loose before he's down, but the official will call, grasp control. If they have him, he can blow the whistle to protect the quarterback, and quite apparently that's what happened, that it was blown dead before the ball came out.
Minute 12 remaining first half when we resume following this Dallas timeout. Seattle with a third down and 21. A reminder, 16 of tennis's greatest legends will be in action next Saturday at the Jeep Eagle ATP Senior Tour Championships. Borg, Laver, Nastasi, Smith, just some of the entries. That's all next Saturday right here on NBC. It has been a very difficult first half for Dan McGuire. Young man who played in a pro-style offense at San Diego State, and the brother of Mark McGuire of the Oakland Athletics. Mark, incidentally, goes about 6'6". And Dan McGuire fires one deep, and it's broken up. Pass intended for Doug Thomas, covered by Kevin Smith. Smith, the rookie from Texas A&M, first of 2 first-round selections by the Cowboys.
Well, this is a situation here where McGuire just trying to lay the ball out and get it out there for Thomas. It looks like he could have put it out in front of him a little further. Maybe he threw it as far as he could, but I don't think so. Had he stretched Thomas out a little, he might have been able to make the play. But Kevin Smith, #1 draft choice for Dallas. Jimmy Johnson says he's working in well and expects him to be playing before the year's out, maybe as a regular.
Tootin from his end zone. Here's Calvin Martin at midfield. Trying to cut back. 43-yard punt by Tootin, so Dallas gets the ball back with 52 seconds to go first half.
Dallas has an opportunity again to put more points on the board. One completion here, a big shot, 20 yards, and the guy that's been making those plays for him has been Michael Irvin. So if I was Seattle, that's the guy I'd be paying attention to right now.
Yes, the man they call the playmaker because he usually comes up with the big play, Michael Irvin. Cowboys do have 2 timeouts remaining. Going short, intended for Emmitt Smith. I don't know if that is a hope for the Seattle Seahawks, but the one negative point that you can talk about concerning the Dallas Cowboys, the fact that they have not done it in the second half, and they allowed teams such as the Giants and the Cardinals to come back on them. Not a good sign. Here's Smith.
Well, the thing there on that graphic that was just up with the points scored, Dallas taking another timeout here, but the thing there is, you know, when you have a little immaturity on your team, you get ahead, and the players don't realize the teams can come back quickly in this league. They don't shut the door on them once and for all, and sometimes when you have a young team, you have to go through those things, and one of the things you got to go through is, you know, staying ahead once you get ahead. And then being able to come back and overcome deficits, also a part of the maturation process for a football team.
And that has contributed to the fact that the Cowboy defensive statistics are not impressive, despite that record of 3-1. Cowboys allow an average of 22 points a game. That's 22nd in the league. Their goal, you talk to the coaches, they would like to allow about 17 points per game, but they've been hurt by those late comeback drives and the fact they gave up 31 points to the Eagles on Monday.
They've got enough guys on defense now where they should be able to make enough plays to really turn that ratio around there and start stopping some people in the second half.
Third down and 12. Aikman on a quick release. And Harper broke a tackle, but he stopped short of the first down by Patrick Hunter. And the clock is stopped. Another timeout taken with 30 seconds remaining in the half.
Well, this was a little strategy. With 3rd and 12, Seattle blitzed enough guys so that the receiver had to make a sight adjustment there, force Aikman to throw it short underneath the coverage, and Seattle was able to tackle and bring it up a 4th down. And that's a pretty common strategy that's used from time to time in football. You get extra long yardage and you blitz them, and Tom Kaplan made that call there. You see him, the defensive coordinator for the Seahawks, and the Seahawks came up with a good play and prevented another additional score on the part of Dallas.
Tom Catlin in his 10th season with Seattle. He began his coaching career with the Dallas Texans of the American Football League, the AFL, back in 1960 under Hank Stram.
That's a long time to be coaching football, I can tell you. He's the last original AFL coach
that is still active in the league. Mike Saxon just did get it off. And Warren lets it bounce, and it is down inside the Robert Blackman.
He almost gets it. Saxon kicks it right through his hands, and then a great play by Clayton Holmes on the part of Dallas. He had his foot on the line, but it's not his foot. It's where the ball is. And I guess the ball must have broken the plane because they ruled the ball's out on the 20 now.
Yes, they made the change, but a terrific effort by Holmes. Blackman nearly came up with the block. Seattle from its 20, 21 seconds remaining in the half. Seahawks have accounted for only 35 yards total offense. And you can subtract from that Chris Warren, a stop behind the line by Ken Norton, who's had a strong first half. The Hawks losing 26 yards because of 3 sacks. So that is cut into the yardage. All Dallas in the first half. That is the end of the half. Cowboys with a 20-0 lead here at Texas Stadium in Irving. Now to Bob Costas in New York for the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report.
This is the Domino's Pizza NFL Live halftime report, brought to you by Domino's. Nobody knows like Domino's how you like pizza at home.
Okay, OJ and Will are here as always, and we'll talk a bit more about Seattle and Dallas in just a moment with the Cowboys up 20-0 at the half. Elsewhere, in Miami, the Falcons are in front of the Dolphins 10-7. Deion Sanders has played plenty, and we'll get OJ's observations on that in just a minute. Philadelphia and Kansas City on a pair of David Craig touchdown passes, each to J.J. Burden. It's the Chiefs at 3-2 and coming off a heartbreaking defeat at Denver a week ago, leading the 4-0 Eagles, who came in riding high after blowing the Cowboys out on Monday night at the Vet, 14-3 late in the second quarter at Arrowhead Stadium. San Francisco and New England, it's 10-3 in favor of the 49ers at 4-1 over the 0-4 Patriots late in the first half at Foxborough. The touchdown for the 49ers, a 32-yard throw from Steve Young to Jerry Rice, Rice's second TD catch of the year, and the 95th touchdown reception of his career. Steve Largent leads the all-time list with 100, as you see Don Hudson, the old-time Packer great, with 99, and Rice will soon enough have the record. Pittsburgh and Cleveland, a battle of field goals here, and we have some highlights as the Steelers lead at 6-3 at the half in Cleveland. Let's roll those in, boys. I'm sure they're coming. Here they are. Bernie Kosar along the sideline. A broken ankle, of course, keeping him out of action for several weeks. Steeler quarterback Neil O'Donnell going to work on the opening drive, scrambling, and then finding Jeff Graham for 11 yards. This will lead to a Gary Anderson 25-yard field goal and a 3-0 lead for Pittsburgh. Fresh sod keeping the ground crew busy. Little shot for some of the horticulturists in the audience. Pittsburgh was leading 3-0 when Neil O'Donnell went to Dwight Stone for an apparent 17-yard TD, but the play was called back when Tunch Ilkin was flagged for holding, so the Steelers settled for a 36-yard Gary Anderson field goal, a 6-0 lead, and later the Browns got a field goal of their own, and they creeped to within 3 at 6-3. Phoenix and the Giants at the Meadowlands in New York is in front in this one. Both clubs are 1-3. It's 21-14 Giants, almost halftime in New Jersey. What about Deion Sanders?
Well, Miami spent a little time trying to take advantage of Deion's lack of sleep, one must assume, with his late arrival from Pittsburgh last night. They went after him right away with some limited success. They got a pass interference call against him, and there was another call, but they ruled the pass was uncatchable. And Jerry Glanville is trying to get their $118,000 a game out of Deion because they've used him on defense, kickoff returns, and they've even put him in on a pass play on offense. He had a 9-yard game. So Deion is playing very well.
And Will, not to disparage the Seahawks unduly, but if you were looking to bounce back off a tough, maybe even humiliating defeat from Dallas's perspective last Monday in Philadelphia, you couldn't have picked a better set of circumstances to go home and get the Seahawks.
That's right. Right now, I think Seattle's got one of the worst teams we've seen offensively in the National Football League in a year. Although New England is close, and Cleveland is close. But coming into this game today, Seattle has only scored 43 points. But you look at one thing, Bobby, you look at the teams without an offensive line. You look at New England, you look at Seattle, you look at Cleveland, right? They cannot score points. They really cannot score points.
Denver having trouble with its offensive line, and until last week when they came back against Kansas City, they couldn't protect Elway, and they weren't scoring either.
Well, they score on the 2-minute drill with Elway. That's it. I mean, the rest of the game, they don't move the ball either. Every single team in the league that hasn't got a good offensive line really can't score points this year, and there's a reason for it. Because defense is now starting to dominate in the National Football League. And if you haven't got a good offensive line that can stand up against some of these linebackers that can really come and run, then you really can't score points.
Time for us to step aside. We'll welcome Gail Gardner in when we continue right after this.
Domino's Pizza NFL Live Halftime Report, brought to you by Domino's. Nobody knows like Domino's how you like pizza at home.
Gail Gardner joins us now with a different kind of story from the NFL. Gail, as a kid, I remember hearing of the death of Bears running back Willie Gallimore in an automobile accident.
Right.
And from a child's perspective especially, you say to yourself, that can't happen. It's unbelievable.
Right. Not even from a child's perspective. I know somehow we always think that athletes are just going to, because they're so powerful and so strong, they're just going to live on. We think of them as invincible, and probably especially football players. Maybe it's their size, the helmets, all that padding, the tremendous hits that they can survive. But occasionally they are cut down in their prime, and this has been a particularly tragic year. Oddly, these tragedies have been part of a strange and almost haunting legacy. October 24th, 1971, Lions wide receiver Chuck Hughes suffers a heart attack at 28, becoming the only NFL player to die on the field. June 29th, 1983, Chiefs' beloved running back Joe Delaney dives into a water-filled ditch to save 3 drowning children and never resurfaces. Joe Delaney could not swim. June 27th, 1986, Browns' talented free safety Don Rogers dies of a cocaine overdose, 8 days after Len Bias died in the same manner. Rogers was to be married the next day. Eerie and unexpected deaths, but never more so than this season. Lions left guard Eric Andolsek killed by a runaway 18-wheeler while weeding his lawn. Lions coach Wayne Fonts also lost his older brother and defensive coordinator Len.
It's hard emotionally. I cry a lot. So it's something that we're going to have to live with this year, and like the families, and put our faith in God and our trust in God, and get through this thing.
In May, Colts defensive end Shane Curry was shot to death. Then his University of Miami teammate, Eagles great defensive tackle Jerome Brown, crashed on a rain-slicked highway. Brown, not just an Eagle, but the focus of a Miami connection that includes Dallas coach Jimmy Johnson, Seahawk Cortez Kennedy, Cowboy Russell Maryland, who last saw him at the Pro Bowl in February.
When he first saw us, he just came and, dropped everything, dropped his conversation and came and put his arms around both me and Cortez. He's like, yeah, these my sons right here. And I felt, here I am, I'm in the pros now, I'm a grown man. And I kind of sunk a little bit, I kind of felt like, there he is, the granddaddy of them all.
The last memory I have of Jerome is when we met at the midfield after we won the ball game in Philadelphia last year. And if I think about the tragedies, I have a tough time dealing with every day. And so my memories of them are of them alive and of the good times.
You think that you can conquer the world sometimes, but then when you see something like that happen to someone like Jerome Brown, it makes you step back. I thought he was the greatest. I kind of put him on a pedestal. Inside, I wanted to be like him. I didn't really tell him that. I never really, let him know that. But it just kind of makes you realize you can't take life for granted because you never know what the next day might bring.
And Bob, Russell Maryland kept saying over many, many times that his mother, from the time he was a small child, kept saying that to him. Don't take each day for granted. Just keep, do the best that you can every day. Be the best person you can. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Live your life the best way that you can, because it could be over like that.
Thank you. NFL Live halftime activities will continue. Please stay with us.
Dallas, Texas. Marv Albert with Bill Parcells, and it's been all Cowboys in the first half with that 20-0 lead. And Bill, look at these stats. Second quarter, Seattle minus 9 yards, only 45 yards total for the game. Dallas with 140 yards in the second quarter. All began badly, though, for the Seahawks on that very first series.
Well, it's Tom Flory's worst nightmare. You got a young quarterback. You're on the road. You know, he turns the ball over in the first series. You know, you can't generate any offense. You've got a young, aggressive defense, a team that's playing with confidence against you at home, and, you know, it's tough for you.
And a look at the Keystone halftime statistics. Total yards for the Cowboys, 171. And as I mentioned, Seattle only 45 yards total. 2 turnovers by the Seahawks, contributing to Dallas scores. 20-0 lead as we get underway in the second half. And they'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. Troy Aikman, last season made the Pro Bowl despite missing the last 4 regular season games with a knee injury. Injuries have cost him his first 3 seasons. Steve Berline, the backup quarterback, one-time Los Angeles Raider, though, did a nice job in coming on in the absence of Aikman last year.
What Jimmy Johnson would like Aikman to do right now, 20-0 lead. This is a chance to, you know, drive the ball, put Seattle away early in the third quarter. I'm sure that's what he told his offense. Let's methodically take the ball down the field and try to put the icing on the cake here early in the third quarter.
Emmett Smith stopped by Cortez Kennedy and David Weidman setting up the Dallas Cowboys. Mark Stepnoski at center, Nate Newton, John Giesick at the guards, Eric Williams, and Mark Tuanay are the tackles. The running backs are Smith and Johnston. It's a second down and 6. Dallas at its 24-yard line. 2 touchdowns in the first half by Emmett Smith, who now has 5 for the season, and 2 field goals by the rookie Lynn Elliott, one from 31 and then his career high from 51 yards away. And with the sideline pass completed to Michael Irvin. Covered by Dwayne Harper, and it's a first down for the Cowboys, a 14-yard advance.
Now, this is the same story as the first half for Irvin against Harper. You know, you had him on the post, he had him on the comeback, now he beats him on a little outside cut. And, you know, that's there pretty much all day unless Seattle rolls into a double zone look to get 2 guys rolling into Irvin. One-on-one against Harper, it looks like Irvin has a pretty good edge.
Slot to the left, Harper flanked to the left. Play action. Aikman could not find anyone and flips it over the head of Smith.
Well, that was a play where Troy Aikman and the Dallas coaching staff were trying to go for the touchdown to Alvin Harper, but he was well covered by Eugene Robinson, the deep safety position, and Jimmy Johnson was trying to get that quick strike right there to put the game out of reach.
It'll be a second down and 10 at the 37-yard line. A win today by the Dallas Cowboys, which would put their record at 4-1, would represent the Cowboys' best start since back in 1985. Cowboys also gunning for their 9th straight victory here at home. Aikman able to complete. Short of the first down at the 45. Kelvin Martin making the catch. Stopped by Patrick Hunter. And that's a 9-yard pickup.
Dallas has hit 2 or 3 of those crossing routes against man-to-man coverage. And Seattle sometimes, you know, the crossing pattern against the man-to-man coverages allows the receivers to outrun the defenders for a period of time. And that time Martin was able to come up with it, and Aikman, you know, got it underneath to him.
We have been talking about the turnaround of this Dallas Cowboy franchise. Over the last 16 regular season games, Dallas has won 12 and lost 4. That puts them in very exclusive company. Pass caught by Novacek. Did he scoop it, or was it a completion? It is ruled a
Novacek, a veteran receiver, just crosses over the first down, goes enough distance to get the first down. He only needed a couple yards, and Aikman throws it nice low and inside, and Novacek comes up with the reception. No Seattle guy could have touched that ball, so that's a good throw by Aikman there.
I mentioned the exclusive company that Dallas is in. Only Washington, Buffalo, San Francisco, and Denver have had that kind of success. Dallas winning 12 of its last 16 regular season games. Emmitt Smith picking his way. That is a typical Emmitt Smith run. Robinson and Wooden.
Oh, when you face an offense like Dallas and you have a back like Smith, it just sets the tone for the whole offense. I mean, he weaves and picks his way through and makes 7 or 8 yards when really the blocking isn't that fantastic, but he makes those linemen look better, and he's just a tough guy. And you've got to be playing very, very strong gang tackle, disciplined defense to even have a chance to slow that guy down.
17 carries, 65 yards for Smith, setting a second down and 2. This time Smith hit back behind the line by the left defensive tackle, Joe Nash. Well, Kansas City leading Philadelphia now 14-3 in the third. Dave Craig, the one-time Seahawk, able to throw one.
Well, you see a big Monday night win for Philadelphia, and then, a big emotional game. Now you got to go on the road against a good team that's kind of got its back to the wall, and that's what can happen a little bit.
Alvin Hopper is to the left. Michael Irvin to the right. Third down and 2. It's Kelvin Martin in motion. Aikman looks the other way, and it is intercepted on a deflection by Eugene Robinson. Saving tackle made by the right guard, John Giesick.
Great play by John Giesick. I mean, you can't expect an offensive lineman to very often run down a defensive back, and that play by Giesick saved the touchdown. Now, there's a good interception by Eugene Robinson. He's got a convoy of blockers in front of him. Aikman can't make the play, and Giesick, in a desperation tackle, he saves the touchdown. We'll see if it saves him points here, but that's a real good play by John Giesick.
Eugene Robinson, the free safety of the Seahawks, coming up with his second interception of the season, and the return goes for 51 yards. It's a first down for the Seahawks at the Dallas 18. Clark in motion. And the give to Williams, and he is stopped behind the line. James Washington combining with Charles Haley to make the tackle.
Dallas really playing a hard pressure defense on first down, and Charles Haley and all the guys there on the front line penetrating and causing some bad plays. And that's one thing Haley told us yesterday, that he's had to read and react a little more in Dallas. He didn't have the latitude that he had in San Francisco. He's got to play more of a scheme and a team defense here in Dallas, and it's working out well for him.
Second and 12. The ball at the 20. Look out. Fourth sack of the day for the Cowboys. And McGuire is shaken up. Robert Jones comes up with the sack, his second of the season.
You see all these linebackers coming up in here and safeties trying to get up the middle on McGuire to pressure him as he goes back, and he just doesn't see it coming. And the linebacker, Robert Jones, is just free, and the safety pulled off, and big play for the Dallas defense, and knocks them right out of the scoring zone. Robert Jones, the middle linebacker, is the Dallas defender that knocked Dan McGuire out right up the middle. Now, there's a missed assignment on the part of the Seattle offense right there, because someone has to have the middle linebacker blitzing straight ahead at the quarterback. I don't know if it was a lineman or a back, but
Stan Gilbaugh has come on taking over for Dan McGuire, who was shaken up, sacked for the fourth time. Gilbaugh to the air and able to complete It's a short pickup. Rob Thomas making the catch, stopped by Kenneth Gant. So McGuire goes 5 of 9, only 44 yards, sacked 4 times. Gelbaugh comes on for 1 play. That's his first appearance of the season. Stan Gelbaugh, originally, as you see McGuire head back to the locker room, Gelbaugh originally a Cowboys 6th-round draft pick back in 1986, a man who has played in the NFL, the CFL, and the World League. Played with the London Monarchs past 2 years, led London to the World Bowl title. In 91 was the MVP of the league. It's a 42-yard field goal attempt for John Casey. Tom Flores just wants to get on the board, but does not. John Casey last week hit 2 of 2 from 27, from 29, 5 for 6 coming into today, and misfires on the 42-yard attempt.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Oldsmobile, the power of intelligent engineering. By Old Spice, cool, crisp, and clean, it puts the wind in your sails. By Schick Tracer, it traces every curve on your face. And by Miller Lite, an official sponsor of the NFL and Super Bowl 27.
Following the 42-yard field goal miss by John Casey, Dallas back to the offense. Emmitt Smith trying the right side, met by the outside linebacker Terry Wooden. The word on Dan McGuire, he's been taken back to the locker room, x-rays of the right forearm and right hand, so it leads to the entrance of this man, Stan Gelbaugh. The other quarterback on the Seattle roster is Rusty Hilger, who signed as a Plan B player, then dropped and re-signed after Kelly Stauffer went down last week, suffering a separated shoulder. This is a Seattle team that already has 11 players, including Stauffer, on injured reserve. 2nd down and 5. And this Smith cutting back and working hard to pick up the 1st down.
They're not going to have enough quarterbacks on their roster if they keep letting the middle linebacker run up the middle untouched and knock the quarterback out. Now, that's not a rookie quarterback's mistake. That's a mistake on the part of someone else. I honestly don't know who. It's quite obviously a back or a lineman, but they're not going to have enough quarterbacks if they keep letting those guys loose in their backfield.
Yes, they allowed Robert Jones to have the clear path to Dan McGuire. Jones coming up with the sack, the 4th sack of the day for the Cowboys. 6:40 remaining in the 3rd. Aikman on a quick release combines again with Irvin. Another Dallas 1st down, a 17-yard hookup. Robinson and Hunter on the stop of Michael Irvin.
Again, Irvin working, one-on-one, and this time it's against Patrick Hunter, and Eugene Robinson comes over to help Hunter on the tackle, but after about 5 or 6 of those, you just have to decide that Michael Irvin's not going to catch any more passes today and roll it some kind of coverage into him or double him up, because right now he's the guy that's providing the offense with all the impetus. 6 catches for 109 yards.
First down play for Aikman, and he's going deep for Irvin. Up by Hunter, and did he catch in bounds? Is it an interception?
I think they're going to rule that
Patrick Hunter picked it off, and yes, he did intercept it, and he was in bounds. They'll place it down at the 1.
Well, Hunter's running step for step with Irvin. Both of them have good vision on the ball, and the ball is thrown outside, and usually that's where you tell the quarterback to throw the ball so the defender can't get it, but Hunter makes a terrific adjustment, and then his momentum carries him out. On that last Patrick Hunter interception, his foot right here going out of bounds, but it's not really where his foot or his toe is, it's where the ball is, and the ball is out of bounds on about the 1-foot line.
Second time today that Aikman has been intercepted, so Seattle takes over at the 1-foot line. crowd reacting to the defense. John L. Williams, stopped by Tony Casillas and Charles Haley. Stan Gilbaugh has taken over at quarterback for the injured Dan McGuire, who has been knocked out by that hard hit by Robert Jones, who came plowing through just moments ago on the previous series. And McGuire getting the right forearm and right hand x-ray. So Stan Gilbaugh seeing his first action of the season. In his 5th year out of Maryland, first 3 years at Maryland, backed up Boomer Esiason and Frank Wright. He was the starting quarterback as a senior. And a timeout has been called. When we come back, with just under 5 minutes to go in the third quarter, it will be a 2nd and 9. Well, it's been another long afternoon for the man on the left. Tom Flory's Seattle Seahawks team has managed only 41 total yards. They've lost 34 by virtue of 4 sacks.
On the other hand, Jimmy Johnson's got to be very happy with the way Dallas has responded. And, now they've got Seattle pinned back again in a very advantageous defensive situation and a chance to get good field position and more points.
2nd down and 9 at the 2. Warren and Williams are the running backs. Just under 5 minutes left in the third. Gilbaugh able to get it away, able to go deep. Pass intended for David Daniels, out racing the combination of Larry Brown and James Washington.
You see Charles Haley working against the rookie tackle, and this time Haley decides to just try to overpower Roberts and push him back into the quarterback. And when you make a move like that, that sets up all the other moves. It sets up your speed rush around the corner, and it sets up your inside move and your rip. So he's just trying to let Roberts know that he will run over him and that Roberts better brace himself. And now Haley will probably try to go around the corner.
Roberts, a #1 draft pick out of the University of Virginia at the left tackle position. Gilbaugh, line drives it, and it's picked off. Ray Holt for the touchdown. The free safety, Ray Horton, not in the starting lineup this afternoon. He has been primarily the nickel back, but he's come up with his first interception of the season.
Haley again on the power rush, then he ducks inside, and that's pretty good pressure on Gilbaugh. And then, of course, Horton comes up with the interception off the tip ball by John L. Williams, and this is just a walk-in touchdown. And, when you got them pinned back and you get pressure, those kind of things happen.
Here's Lynn Elliott attempting the extra point. Cowboys with a 27-0 lead on the Seahawks of Seattle. Just a moment, we will be switching a good portion of our Dallas-Seattle audience to the Cleveland-Pittsburgh game. The Browns, I'm told, have just scored. They now lead the Steelers by the score of 10-6. One of those typical Cleveland-Pittsburgh games. It is raining. They're playing in the mud. Your type of football weather.
My type of football, Marv. The muddier the better.
And we'll be switching to Joel Myers and Ahmad Rashad in just a moment. 27-0 for the Dallas Cowboys. Here's Warren with the kickoff return. We're down to 4:34 remaining in this third quarter. Glenn Elliott involved on the tackle of Warren. And here is Stan Gilbaugh, who took over the quarterbacking duties for the injured Dan McGuire. And the Seahawks will start from their 34-yard line. Cowboys with a 27-0 lead. Marv Albert, Bill Parcells from Texas Stadium in Irving, Texas. something that occurred on the very first series with Dan McGuire running the team.
Well, it's the same problem. It looks like McGuire had Gelbaugh's having it, and you know, you don't know whether it's the center or the quarterback not staying with him long enough. Usually on those bad snaps, it's a combination of both rather than one or the other. So, you know, if you can't get that right, it's hard to get much else right.
The center is Joe Toffelmeyer. Actually suffered a shoulder injury early in the game last week, and Diesel came on, and Gelbaugh is hauled down. That's the first time he's been sacked. Number 5 for the Cowboys. This time it is Tony Tolbert, and for Tolbert, his second of the day. That's now 6 for the season to lead the team.
Well, the Dallas defensive staff realizes that Seattle's having not only the young quarterback problems, but they're having protection problems, and it's like, you know, you smell that blood and you know you can get there with that pressure, and you use it almost every opportunity that you have. And that's what Dallas is doing now, alternating pressure and first and second down and covering on third.
It is set back to a third down and 18. They'll bring on the punting unit after that short pickup by John L. Williams.
Well, Dallas just blitzed every down in that series, including the third down at 18. That strategy we talked about before, had a pass been on, they would have been able to force the receiver into a side adjustment and then easily tackled him. But Seattle elected to stay on the ground.
Rick Tootin will punt for the 5th time. Kelvin Martin is back at his 30-yard line. 2:40 remaining in the third quarter. And he just did get it by Isaac Holt, who will look for the block. And Martin hit down at the 27-yard line. 49-yard punt and a 4-yard return. Well, coming up next on most of these NBC stations, Game 2 of our doubleheader. Jim Kelly and the Buffalo Bills looking to bounce back from the loss to the Miami Dolphins last week. Will go up against the Los Angeles Raiders. Others will see Warren Moon and the Houston Oilers take on the Cincinnati Bengals. We suggest you check your local listings. Later report on the injured Dan McGuire, a left shoulder contusion and groin pull, and he is out the rest of the way. Emmett Smith, stopped by Cortez Kennedy.
Those contusions are a lot better than those hairline fractures or separations, so that's encouraging news for Seattle that McGuire is going to be able to, in not too long, return.
One other injury item of significance, Bill Bates, sprained left knee that was suffered earlier today, and he is out the rest of the way. Bill Bates, the veteran special teams man. Second down and 9. And a short completion to Novacek. David Wyman on the stop. Jay Novacek made the Pro Bowl last year. 59 receptions for Novacek to lead all tight ends in the NFC and receptions, done it the past 2 years.
He was one of those guys in college that was so in between. You didn't know whether he was going to be a wide receiver, and he wasn't big enough when he came out of college to be a tight end. So when Phoenix acquired him, they kind of made him a third down tight end receiver type tight end, and since then he's gained a lot of weight each year, and he's been able to play full time here in Dallas and play very well, I might add.
Third down and 5. And Aikman able to complete with Martin. Beautiful catch by Kelvin Martin. Hit up by Dwayne Harper. That's a 13-yard pickup.
Again, Harper, this time inside on Martin in bump and run coverage. He's getting some help from Dedrick Dodge deep, but Aikman just has such a strong arm. If you're off those receivers just a little bit, the ball is there so quickly that they're able to gather it in. And very few balls that Aikman throws on the outside are deflected by defensive backs, because he's got big-time velocity on it.
3 receptions for Martin, 6 for Irvin. Aikman 13 of 20, 163 yards. Time running out in the third. Smith tries to go wide, could not make the turn. He was fouled across by the strong safety Robert Blackman.
Defensively, though, that's the kind of play you try to make on Emmitt Smith. With backs like Emmitt Smith, if you can keep their shoulders turned to the sideline, you have a chance against them. But once they get their shoulders turned upfield and have a chance to go 2 or 3 different ways, you're in trouble.
That's the end of the third quarter. We'll be back after these messages from your local station.
This game's a long way from being over, but a lot of things that the average fan doesn't understand is about the psychology of the results of the game. And, as I said, this one isn't over, but, when you play well and you lose, or you play poorly and you win, all different things can happen result-wise. And this is something that a coach, has to deal with on a weekly basis. And it's a situation that Tom Flores mentioned to us yesterday. There's sometimes where you just haven't anything to say to your team on Monday because all the cliches are used up.
What can Flores say tomorrow? It's another lackluster performance. Yes, this is a club that has been hard hit by injury, but once again, no offense. You must credit Dallas's defensive work, but we're looking at 35 total yards for the day as we start out this fourth quarter, and Dallas has a third down and 5, 27-0 lead over the Seattle Seahawks. Aikman's pass is batted down. Good play. Eugene Robinson getting a piece of it. What does Flores say to the club tomorrow?
One of the things you try to do, if there is anything good that happened in the game, and really very little has happened in a positive way for Seattle. They start the game, they fumble, they're behind 7-0, and it's been progressively downhill since there. They had one opportunity the first half and one opportunity the second half to possibly score, but you try to take something positive to your team, but you also have to say, hey fellas, we're just not getting this job done, and unless things change appreciably on all sides of the ball, this is going to turn into a long year for all of us. Of course, on the other side, Jimmy Johnson had to be concerned about his team rebounding from the loss in Philadelphia, but quite apparently they've responded well, and good performance.
The NFL on NBC is brought to you by Coors Light. The Silver Bullet is the right beer now. By Levi's Dockers. Nobody does color like Dockers. By 2-day priority mail service from your post office. And by Mazda. Mazda, it just feels right.
Marv Albert, Bill Parcells from Texas Stadium in Irving on a beautiful 71-degree sunshine day. And it's been a very fine day for the Dallas Cowboys in front of the Seattle Seahawks by a count of 27-0. Flags are thrown as Stan Gelbaugh took it from center.
Ball start. Number 73 on the offense. Prior to snap. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
That is the rookie left tackle, Ray Roberts, who, as we discussed earlier, had a difficult time last week against Leslie O'Neal of San Diego. Allowed 2 sacks, called for 2 holding penalties. He has been struggling. It is a first and 15 for the Seahawks back at the 5. Gelbaugh completing to Doug Thomas. Kevin Smith providing the coverage. And that goes for 11 yards. Ray Roberts, #1 draft pick, 10th selection overall, had this to say after the difficult time he had with Leslie O'Neal. I don't want to send too many guys to the Pro Bowl.
Well, he might have made the highlight film of Dallas's today with that interception and the pressure calls by Charles Haley, but that's growing pains, and you have to live through it. Those false starts and sacks and all those things are examples of what it's like to be a rookie left tackle in the NFL.
Can you recall either a rookie or a young.
Ball start. Number 82 on the offense prior to the snap.
That's the tight end, Ron Heller, number 82. Can you, in contrast to what we were discussing earlier, the fact that left tackle is such a difficult position to break into, can you recall anybody who was able to make an impact early in their career?
I think I just have to think back probably as far as Art Shell, you know, the great Raider tackle, and of course now the head coach there. Anthony Munoz from Cincinnati Bengals is another guy that comes to mind quickly that was athletic enough to make those transitions from college football, but you know, it's difficult at best for even the most gifted athletes.
What is going on during the course of this series? It's the third flag, delay of game now.
But you see, this is what happens when your team, you know, gets down and the confidence isn't, you know, really very good right now. You lose concentration and all of the things that coaches talk about discipline and precision and alertness and awareness. And sometimes those things just disappear. And right now, that's what's happened to the Seattle Seahawks. They've just kind of disappeared for a while.
2nd and 13 at the 9. Pass intended for Doug Thomas, covered by the combination of Thomas Everett and Kevin Smith. Thomas Everett, acquired from Pittsburgh following a contract dispute with the Steelers, longtime starter for Pittsburgh, still not comfortable with the Cowboys scheme.
But he is one of 2 or 3 guys, Kevin Smith and Kenneth Gant, that are going to eventually be the secondary of the Dallas Cowboys. And when the veteran players like Ray Horton and Isaac Holt, these guys are going to work in, and today they have a chance to get some playing experience, and that's going to really be an improvement in depth and quality on the part of the Dallas secondary.
Elbaugh just did get it off. And that will lead to another appearance for Rick Tootin.
There working against Haley, picks up the trip. Leon Lett coming outside. In that case, he does a good job. Now, Gelbaugh just can't find anybody, and he runs out of the pocket. You know, Roberts can't be held responsible for that pressure there when Gelbaugh leaves the pocket. But he did a nice job on that stunt that time.
Rick Tootin is punting for the 6th time, number 41 for the season. That's high in the NFL. Kelvin Martin calls for the fair catch at the 44, a 47-yard punt for Tootin.
Working to be the best they can be. Teammates, sponsored by the U.S. Army. Due to the explosive performances of number 34, Thurman Thomas, and number 12, Jim Kelly, the Buffalo Bills offense is operating at a higher pace than ever this season. With the multi-talented Thomas running and receiving passes from Kelly, this pair of high-profile superstars make the Bills the best they can be.
Well, the Cowboys able to bounce back from that 31-7 thumping by Philadelphia on Monday, and you look at the schedule, Kansas City coming up next week. They play out the Raiders, and then the Eagles here in Dallas on the 1st of November. Cowboys with a 27-0 lead. Darryl Johnston getting a rare call to carry the ball. That's his first today, and he was met by Rufus Porter.
Well, they're working Darryl Johnson and Tommy Agee together, but this is just going to be for a short series or two because they've only got 3 backs active right now, and I think they're eagerly awaiting the return of Kirvin Richards, who's Emmitt Smith's backup, but right now they got to give these guys some turns in case something will happen to Emmitt.
Darryl Johnston, primarily a blocking back. Emmitt Smith on the sideline, 22 carries, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2nd down and 10. And once again, it's Johnston in his 4th year out of Syracuse, second-round pick back in 1989. In fact, with Jay Novacek involved in that contract dispute during preseason, Jimmy Johnson had Darryl Johnston working at tight end just in case.
Well, he's one of those role guys, but just getting back to that upcoming schedule for Dallas for a second. You know, that Philadelphia game November 1st is the one that Jimmy Johnson really is pointing toward, and he's hopeful that they don't lose any more ground and that they can play them and be tied or you know, at least not any further back than they are, and hopeful that he can win that game down here and provide a little impetus for the rest of the season and possibly win the division, because I can tell you from my experience as a coach, he doesn't want to take that team, the Dallas Cowboys, back up to Philadelphia in a wild card game, because that's like going through the old neighborhood and be bitten by a dog. You got bit once up there, Marv. He doesn't want to go back to that same neighborhood and find that same dog up there.
Well, Jimmy Johnson will be pleased to learn that it is now fourth quarter at Kansas City, and the Eagles are trailing the Chiefs 24-3. Kansas City 24, Philadelphia 3. Mike Saxon just did get it off. He had Eugene Robinson in his face. Chris Warren let it go. 46-yard punt for Saxon.
Seattle putting a little pressure up the middle. Eugene Robinson almost gets it, but avoids the punter, Mike Saxon. Good play by Robinson.
9:49 remaining in the fourth. Dallas 27 and Seattle nothing. And the Seahawks back to the offense, an offense that has been invisible. Isaac Holt providing the coverage on Doug Thomas, and Thomas had him beaten.
And it was a good throw by Gelbaugh that stretched Thomas out, and you know, he just was unable to come up with the play, but that ball was pretty much on target, and you know, that's a catchable ball. Should have been caught by Thomas, as a matter of fact.
Doug Thomas in his second season out of Clemson, a second-round draft pick last year. To this point, Seattle has accounted for only 47 total yards. That has been it. They have been blanked by the Cowboys, a Seattle team that averages under 9 points per game. And again, a flag has been thrown.
Ball start. Number 63 on the offense prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Right tackle Ronnie Lee. Heard his name called out. Well, we were checking out this field earlier. I know the crown here at Texas Stadium brings back some memories from your days along the sidelines with the Giants.
Well, anytime you have a field like this that drains and a crown, it can cause some problems for your quarterback, because throwing from the middle of the field to the sideline is you have to throw the ball a little downhill.
Well, that ball was thrown on a line to John L. Williams, who was able to get a first down out of it. James Washington made the stop, 15-yard advance.
Other thing also, too, Gelbaugh's back here and hits John L. coming right underneath. But the other thing about the crown on the field is that if your quarterback aren't used to it, they'll throw a little high for a while until they get acclimated. And they have to adjust and throw it down just a little bit. We have a Cowboy down here.
Aren't there several quarterbacks who have told you, as Isaac Holt shake it up, that they had their problems at Giant Stadium? I recall Joe Theismann saying that it was always difficult. He'd be wild high at times while playing against the Giants.
Yeah, that's mostly on the outside patterns. They're throwing in the middle of the field. It doesn't affect you at all. But if you're used to playing on a level ground, a level stadium like a place like Philadelphia that has drainage that goes right through the field, then it's a little different than playing on a field with a crown on it. Now this crown right here, it goes from the sideline over and it goes down as you go away. So when a quarterback goes to throw it, little downhill in trajectory.
And so they misjudge, and they forget to take that into account. That's why they go wild high.
Usually goes a little high.
So Isaac Holt replaced by Kevin Smith. Isaac taking a shot. Kevin Smith, the rookie from Texas A&M. 1st and 10 for Gelbaugh. That's sack number 6 for the Cowboys. Number 2 on the day for Jim Jeffcoat. Able to whip right by the left tackle, Ray Roberts.
Well, these guys are all lined up on Roberts now. They're probably drawing straws over there and trying to say, hey, I get my chance on him. And this time it's Jeffcoat, but the Dallas defensive coaches are alternating their pass rushers in now, giving some of the younger players a chance to be involved on certain plays.
Drawing straws to get it, Ray Roberts. Overthrows Chris Warren, the intended receiver, going deep against Thomas Everett, and it sets a 3rd down and 14 with 8:28 remaining in this 4th quarter. The last time the Seattle Seahawks were shut out, September of '91 last season. Chicago Bears did it by the score of 17-0. The last time that Dallas shut out an opponent, last September, and they did it to the Philadelphia Eagles, 24-0. Down goes Gelbaugh. Make it 7 sacks. This time on the blitz, it was Kenneth Gant coming up from his safety position for his 2nd sack of the season. There's Gant in his 3rd year out of Albany State.
Again, Dallas in the blitz situation. They realize now that Seattle is not capable of picking up most of the blitzes that they have ready for them. And Gelbaugh didn't see that one coming off his backside. Dallas can always go to that as a way to get at the Seattle offense.
Tootin getting the hop, one of his shorter punts. And it rolls down inside the 20-yard line. A reminder tonight, following the presidential debate, don't miss Eyewitness Video. And then best-selling author Jackie Collins brings her hottest book to the television screen, a mini-series where power and lust go hand in hand. Lady Boss beginning tonight on NBC. Well, that is it for Troy Aikman. Steve Berline has come on, and he will see his first action of the season and gets a nice hand from the crowd. He showed the value of a good backup last year, leading Dallas to 5 straight wins and a berth in the playoffs after Aikman was injured. Darrell Johnston getting some work.
Jimmy Johnson also giving Frank Cornish his backup center and Kevin Gogan at right guard and Alan Weingart at right tackle, giving his backup lineman a chance to get in game situation. And I think that's a real smart move. Not only do you protect some of your starters, but you keep some of the guys that aren't playing as regularly sharp in game situations. And this is a good move by Jimmy Johnson. Of course, as we said last series, I don't think you're going to see Emmitt Smith anymore either.
Aikman finishes 15 for 23, 173 yards. He was intercepted twice, but a solid day for Troy Aikman. Berline, incomplete. That is intended for Jimmy Smith, 2nd-round draft pick, rookie out of Jackson State. Jimmy Smith seeing his first action after fracturing his leg in training camp. It is a 3rd down and 6. Just under 7 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. And there is Emmitt Smith who sat out the last series, finishing up with 78 yards on 22 carries. Tommy Agee with his first carry of the day. Agee in his 5th year out of Auburn, originally a 5th-round draft pick of Seattle, went to Kansas City on Plan B, signed with Dallas on Plan B 3 years ago. It's only his 3rd carry of this 92 season.
Now, Tommy Agee is one of the nuts and bolts guys of this Cowboy team. You know, he's in there part-time as the fullback on most of the special teams, and he's a guy that's been around a little while and has enough experience and is a team leader of sorts, special teams-wise. And, you know, you need several guys like that. Kelvin Martin, Tommy Agee, guys, Bill Bates, guys like that round your team out.
Rob Thomas let it bounce, could not get to it. It is a 54-yard punt. And so the Seahawks will start from their 20. The story today, 7 sacks by Dallas, 2 apiece for Tolbert and Jeffcoat. I mentioned earlier Jim Jeffcoat, a man that you certainly remember. There was a game back in December of '85 right here in Dallas, Bill. Giants leading 14-7, second quarter. Too Tall Jones batting down the Phil Simms pass into the arms of that man, number 77, Jim Jeffcoat, making his way to the end zone. He went 65 yards with a touchdown, and the Cowboys went on to win the game 28-21 and clinched the NFC East title.
If I remember correctly, that was right at the end of the season, and you know, that was the play in the game that turned it around. And this guy's had a real good career now and has adapted to the new system here. You know, and he's one of the few veterans that have along with Bill Bates and a couple of others, Kelvin Martin, that have survived this transition here with Jimmy Johnson taking over from Tom Landry.
It is a second down and 12. Reuben Mays and Tracy Johnson now in the Seahawk backfield. Here's Mays. Reuben Mays in his 5th year out of Washington State. Bothered in recent seasons by knee and Achilles injuries. Made his return this year. He had retired last season rather than play in New Orleans. You have to wonder about the year layoff. At one time, this was a very solid running back.
Oh, he
made the Pro Bowl. He ran for 1,300 yards.
Yeah, he was a great player for the Saints. You know, he played in the same backfield with the Washington Redskins quarterback Mark Rippon. And at Washington State, they had a pretty good team while he was up there.
It's a 3rd down and 7. Yobo sidearms intended for Tracy Johnson. Ken Norton on the coverage. And with the 4th down play coming up, once again we greet Rick Tootin. Punt number 7 coming up for Tootin. And a relaxing time for Emmitt Smith. He can look to next Sunday, a home game against the Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City in front of the Philadelphia Eagles this afternoon.
But this is also some of the fun part of pro football. You know, a guy like Emmitt Smith there, game's pretty much well in hand. You're on the sideline, and you know, you're enjoying the win. And you know, in a lot of games, it usually goes down to the wire. You don't get the chance to just sit there and have a little fun on the sideline and, you know, put your baseball hat on, get your shoes untaped, and do all those things. Most of the time you're out there trying to get a final touchdown, but the last quarter of this game has been fun for Smith. You can see he's got no bumps and bruises. There's his buddy Irvin. He's having fun, and you know, they'll probably go out tonight, do something, have them a little more fun.
Oh, you know their social itinerary.
No, I don't really know it, but I would guess that, you know, after last week, it wasn't too much fun around here, and now they're going to have a chance to have a little fun again.
And Berline able to complete to Martin. We're down to 4:15 remaining in the game, and the Cowboys with a 27-0 lead. 2 touchdowns for Emmitt Smith short runs for 2 and for 1, capping off long drives. A couple of field goals by Elliott, one from 31 and a career-high 51-yarder. And then Ray Horton with an interception, and he ran it home from 15 yards away for the 27-0 Dallas lead. Hand off to Agee. Tommy Agee gets the call, and there is Steve Timmons, 2-time Olympic gold medalist, Bill, in the sport of volleyball. 92 bronze medalist for the U.S. team. Steve known for his flat-top haircut. Did you catch any of the volleyball during the Olympics, or were you
What I know about volleyball, Mark, you can put in a thimble. I know absolutely nothing about volleyball.
Assessment. Checked out some of the volleyball in Barcelona. Kelvin Martin, the intended receiver. See, I don't see you as a beach volleyball guy. I somehow don't see it as a kid growing up in New Jersey.
Most of the time when I go on the beach, Mark, I got to watch out for those guys with harpoons. That's the dangerous thing for me out there. You know, from a coaching standpoint, I know this game's well in hand, 3 minutes to go, but Jimmy Johnson wants Steve Berline to execute a couple of nice and easy throws. He's had one. He's underthrown a couple, but you like to see your backup quarterback get in there, and they're not trying to rub the score in or anything here. They're just trying to get him some work so he can be a little more precise if they need him later on. There's a good throw right there.
Yes, precise indeed. On the 3rd and 9, he's able to complete to Alvin Harper. Stopped by Brian Davis. And there is Dwayne Harper, 11th round draft pick in 1988 out of South Carolina State. And I guess there's a guy you passed by.
Right. He was 165 pounds, and it was the 11th round, and my scouts were telling me we need to draft Dwayne Harper, and I said, well, we'll draft him if you can name anybody 165 playing in the NFL, and they couldn't do it, so we passed him up, and of course he's gone on to have a very, very good career. So my scouts were right, and again, I was able to, through my ignorance, talk him out of drafting.
All right, Agee stopped by Stevens. 2 minutes remaining in the 4th. Hope you stay with us after the conclusion of the game for the Old Spice NFL Live post-game report. Bob, O.J., and Will checking out the day in the NFL, all the scores and highlights. We are down to 2 minutes remaining in this 4th quarter, and following Dallas and Seattle, game 2 of our NFL doubleheader. Some of you will see Buffalo and the LA Raiders. Others will be able to look in on the Houston Oilers and the Cincinnati Bengals. That is next right here on NBC. Correction of a note we passed on earlier. The last time the Dallas Cowboys came up with a shutout was not last year, was back in 1978. Get it to the Baltimore Colts, September of 78, by the score of 38-0. Darryl Johnston getting the call, stopped by Natu Tagovailoa. His 4th year out of the University of California. Both clubs now going to the backup variety. As you mentioned, Bill, the Dallas Cowboys making all kinds of changes here in the 4th quarter. And time is running down. The Cowboys will extend to a record of 4-1 as they look to Kansas City here in Dallas next week, and Seattle 1 up and 5 down. Next Sunday they are home for the Raiders, and the following week play the Giants at Giants Stadium, and then a bye week followed by a home game with Washington, so it does not get any easier. And the field goal unit is checking in. The executive producer of NBC Sports, Terry O'Neill. The coordinating producer of NFL football is John Francis. Today's telecast produced by Tommy Willie Roy. Directed by John McDonough. Associate Director Jeffrey Simon. Thanks also to our production associate, Jimmy Bell, and our statistician in the booth, Mr. Stats himself, Elliot Cal. This a 42-yard attempt. No good. So Lynn Elliott, who earlier hit from 51 and 31, misfires from 42.
Well, again, this is a situation where Jimmy Johnson may have down the road a little right to be concerned, but that 51-yard kick will keep Elliott happy for a while.
The Cowboys about to make it 9 straight wins at home. The longest home win streak in the NFL. Dallas has not lost here in over a year. The last home loss, September 15th last season, to the Eagles.
The best thing about the win, though, is a nice workmanlike, efficient job, both sides of the ball. Offense taking advantage of the opportunities, defense making plays, and scoring also. So it's a situation that Jimmy Johnson, hoped for coming off the loss Monday night in Philadelphia to get his team back on track. And, you can't get on any better track than 27-0. You'll take that in the league every week. And, of course, they've got a tough game coming up with Kansas City here next week and pointing to that showdown with Philadelphia on November the 1st.
Story here today for the Dallas Cowboys. 7 sacks, 2 apiece for Jeffcoat, Tolbert. The others, Robert Jones along with Jimmy Jones and Jim Jeffcoat, Kenneth Gant. Time running down, 20 seconds to go. Ruben Mays again getting the call. So the Cowboys go to a record of 4-1. And Seattle drops to 1 up and 5 down. Seattle with only 62 total yards. Dallas with 313. Dallas wins it 27-0. Coming up next, the Old Spice NFL Live postgame report, followed by the second half of our doubleheader. Some of you will watch the Buffalo Bills go up against the Los Angeles Raiders. Others will see an AFC Central battle between Houston and Cincinnati. For Bill Parcells, this is Marv Albert. So long from Dallas, Texas.